And I have an assignment from Becky, I have an assignment from Nikki, and I have an assignment from Marcelo, so I'd better hurry up. So before I tell you anything about myself, let me tell you about the concept of Genshai, how I understood it later. But let me start with the following. I was a political advisor in missile defense and space-based early warning between the United States and Russian government. And let me tell you, if there is a concept of Genshai, by God, they need it. I remember very well the first meeting in the Kremlin that we had, and I remember very well I was accompanying a group of United States Air Force generals, and they came in, and I remember very well the Russian general stood up and he said, "Oh, you Americans are coming. Well, you already made the slaves out of everybody south of the border from you. So now you want to make white slaves out of us. Little do you know that we have enough of intercontinental ballistic missiles to blow the whole globe 52 times. And I thought, boy, that's a friendly welcome. That really gives you hope for international peace forever and ever and ever. And I remember very well that United States generals, they just looked at me and I said, well, don't look at me. Listen, I'm not the one who is going to blow up the globe 52 times. So American generals actually stood up to the plate and said, you know what? And I think we can blow the whole globe 54 times. And I thought, boy, that is a good career I chose for myself. And this is how I'm going to be, and this is what's going to be my life. So here I come to this event with this kind of background. Day number one, I come with a reasonable speech. I promised Kevin that I will prepare a reasonable speech and I will be talking about something. I put some ideas together. I come, Emmanuel starts singing. I start crying like an idiot, total clinical idiot. Intercontinental ballistic missiles are waiting, and here I am crying. What kind of behavior is that? That is not rational, that is not reasonable, and definitely does not fit into overachiever's status. By the end of the first day, all thoughts left my mind. And not only I did not have a speech, I did not have any ideas. Day number two comes, absolutely exhausted. I remember very well, Immaculate was making her presentation. I could not even stay in the room because for anyone who went through a civil war, and I was one of those who just happened to go through a mild version, I must say, that's it. In my case, you cannot see or watch anything that relates to it. So by the end of the second day, I'm supposed to speak 7 languages, and I forgot any one of those. In fact, I had only letters. By the beginning of the third day, I woke up with an exclamation mark in my mind and nothing else. And I thought, I'm supposed to speak today. What am I going to do? And so here, what you're going to hear right now is actually what I would like to say in an ideal world. Number one, what I worked in was all these intercontinental ballistic missiles, which are very powerful. Let me tell you, one is enough to actually remove the whole state of California and more. But what I would like to say, it's the world of the past. This is the world of the future. The world of the future is being ushered through this particular audience, as small as it might be. It actually has a force of its own that will propel us forward in the direction of the world we want it to be. And the reason I'm so interested in that, because I already saw those missiles. I already saw how many times you can actually blow this globe up. And it's very, very, very easy. And it's extremely uncomfortable to actually know that. In fact, I envy you, because the less you know, the better it is for you. And I wish I knew a little bit less. So what I would like to say is that this is the beginning of the new world. It's never simple, it's never easy. It's never easy to actually open your heart. What heart? Are you guys kidding me? I mean, I couldn't even understand where I should be looking there. But since I only had an exclamation mark today, then that's it. Where else would I go? So I'm risking, and I'm going full speed ahead here. So this is number one. Number two, since I was working with many international governments, I actually understood that none of the governments work. None of it. In fact, what they do, there are impediments. Because what governments get their salaries for? To keep the barriers up. That's the role of the government. Please forgive me, I don't want to offend any government. And I don't want to offend the Kremlin, because let me tell you, it's very uncozy when you come into Russia on a Russian passport and you cannot leave the country. It's actually very, very, very scary. And I would love to tell you a little bit of a story about that, and I will go on the message in a second. But what I would like to say is the following. The future of diplomacy does not go through governments. The future of diplomacy will come through us. We are the channel of the future diplomacy. And let me tell you what happened between me and the book Aspire the first time I actually saw it. My friend Judy, who actually happens to be Lance's mother, who was here just several minutes ago, and she gave me the book, and she tells me, she comes to visit with me, and she says, "Did you hear about that word, Genshai?" I said, "Genshai? What kind of a word is that?" And she said, "Well, you need to know about it." And I'm thinking, oh yeah, sure, I need to know about a lot of things, and let me wait about this Genshai thing. And she gives me the book, Aspire. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, another feeling good American book. Those Americans are durable optimists. Oh boy, you know, we even have a name in Europe for an American smile. When, you know, in the airport, people will look at you and they would say, do like this, and we call it a frozen fish smile. No, I mean, because we say, oh, you Americans, you never mean it. And then I open the book and I start reading it. On page 3 or 4, I actually close the book with a thud, and I am mad. And I am literally mad. And let me explain to you why I was so mad. Because here I am in the trenches of those negotiations. And here I am reading the introduction to the book. In the introduction, Mr. Hall says that he wakes up, goes into his study, and he looks on the mountain crest, which is in front of his window, and it's a peaceful surrounding, and I'm about to pack my suitcases and go to Iraq. And I don't want to know anything about this peaceful mountain crest, because I'm scared out of my mind. I'm thinking, yeah, well, he can afford the luxury to think like this. And what about me? I am going into the trenches. I don't want to see anybody there. I want to stay at home. I envy you. And I envied him for about another year. Could not read the book, did not want to read the book, did not want to open my heart, because I thought, you open your heart, and then I'm lucky if I'm in one piece and come back in a box or something of that nature. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And so it was very, very difficult for me to risk. And actually during these 3 days, I decided to risk, and I decided to go ahead and actually open my heart, although I was very much afraid that once I open it, I will disintegrate into molecules and there will be nothing to pick me off the floor. What I'm trying to say here is the following. Once I opened it, I suddenly looked around and I thought, oh, but these are my brothers and sisters. These are not white Americans who enjoyed good life, which I envied since I was a child. No, these are my brothers and sisters. So Americans have hearts. We Europeans don't believe you. We actually doubt you. We actually think that you only pretend you have something. I see it, 5 minutes. And in reality, that is not the case. Here, I actually got convinced that it is not true. You, my fellow Americans, do have a heart. No matter what difficult times you're going through right now, because the redefining the nation is absolutely necessary for us at this point in time, your heart will carry you through if, only if, we have the courage, nobility, and strength of character to capitalize on the best parts of our national character that actually made us, and I say us, Americans, what we were at the very beginning. If we go into consumerism, acquisition, competition, and such like things, that's it. We will be absolutely outsmarted by Indians, outdressed by Italians, outmilitarized by Chinese, and there is no future for us. The future for us actually is to capitalize on the nobility of our national character. Then we do not need to have ICBMs at all. Coca-Cola and Wrangler jeans were the most coveted products in the Soviet Union and actually led to its absolute demise. Don't you worry about any ICBMs. Missile defense does not work, sorry to say it, although I worked in that area. It just can't. It's too expensive and it's way too much work. But you carry this and you will be in a very good shape and there will be a future for us all. And this is the nation that actually is based on the notion of success. If you're born an American, it's like being born into royalty. A royalty cannot pretend they're not aristocrats. That's it. You're born to be royalty, you better become successful. It's not a choice, because you're not a Russian. A Russian can actually stand on the corner of the street and whine. No such luxury for an American. Pick up and get going. And that is the future for all of us. So for me, this is an incomprehensible event. I do mean it, and I would like to say that I'm deeply, deeply, deeply grateful that I actually became a part of it, although I thought I would die, and it will take me a week to recover, and I don't think that I will emotionally be ever the same, and I don't want to actually open my heart. I really resist it with all my might, and I will continue resisting it because it's so hard for me. And if a Russian says, I love you, that's it, you have a heart attack right then and there. And so if I ever open my mouth and say anything like that, that's it, I will die here, so I better finish that speech. Do I have 1 minute left, or am I done already?
You have a minute.
Oh, so I have a minute. So what I would like to say, again, 2 minutes. Boy, I'm running quicker than I thought. Each culture, not even the United States culture only, has a unique point of excellence. That's why different cultures were created under the sun. And let me tell you, as far as, for example, there is another culture in America, that is a Black America. When I was here, I actually got acquainted with that concept. Black America is a special world in itself, which is an amazing world for me. And let me tell you what it has, very quickly. It has resilience and an amazing amount of emotional energy that was cultivated through years of survival and effort and going straight to the higher power, because where else would you ever go? And that is treasure. And I remember very well my first impression of the United States when I landed at JFK. I actually almost did not make it to my flight because I was absolutely amazed by the beauty of the so-called New World. Because being a European, I have never seen the skin colors. It would be coffee and milk, a little bit more coffee, a little bit more milk, whole milk, whole coffee. I just couldn't catch my breath. I thought, darn it, these people are really good looking. Do they even know it? And it was very, very different from my European understanding of how people might look. And so what I would like is to say that I'm deeply grateful for my biological mother, which is Russia, but I'm deeply grateful for my adoptive mother, which is United States, and I will serve it with my heart and with my gut and with my love and with my life. And before I go into any more details, I would like to say, Bella, you are an excellent poet, and you know, Russians have a poetic soul, so we catch it right away, and I can tell you, you are God-given. How you're going to survive with that, I don't know, because I'm afraid myself.